How long does the buying process take? What stays with the house when you buy it and what does not? How accurate are Zestimates? Today I'm going to answer frequently asked questions about real estate from both buyers and sellers. Let's do it. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new to this channel, welcome for the first time. My name is Jonathan McCoy with Keller Williams Realty, Chattahoochee North, and I am a realtor here in Atlanta, Georgia, in the metro Atlanta area. I get a ton of questions from buyers and sellers just like you when it comes to real estate. Today, I thought I would just take some time to answer some of the questions that are most frequently asked. Let's start with, how much do I charge? This is a great question. For me to help someone buy or sell a house, I charge 3% of the sales price of the home. However, who pays that works as such. We typically see in real estate the seller of the property paying all the commissions involved. Yes, that is both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. But all commissions are negotiable. On the selling side, if you pay the listing agent 3%, and the buyer's agent 3% of the sales price of the house as their commission, then the seller is looking to pay a total of 6% of the sales price of their home in commissions for selling their home. But I have seen sellers pay less than this, and I've seen sellers pay more than this. For me in my business, when selling your home, I charge 3% to list your home, and then I talk with you as the seller about the commission that you are going to give to the buyer's agent that will help determine the total commission. On the buying side, I also charge 3%. But if the seller is already paying 3%, then you are covered and the buyer pays nothing for my services. But if the seller pays less than 3%, the buyer is required to make up that difference. Over my many years in real estate, I have yet to have a buyer have to pay me any commission. And one thing I definitely want to mention is I don't get paid until everything is closed on the sale of the house. So if you never end up buying or selling a home, I get nothing. How much is the money needed for a down payment? This can vary from person to person. Typically, we will see 3 to 3.5% for the sales price of a home for a down payment depending on your loan type. However, there are loans like VA, USDA, and there are some down payment assistance programs that you can get that will help you pay less than 3 or 3.5%, all the way down to 0%. What are closing costs and how much are closing costs? Closing costs are charges to the buyer to close on a home they are purchasing. These fees include the following: cost of the lender who's giving you the loan, cost of the closing attorney, taxes for buying the property, title insurance, fees for filing the documents with the county. In addition to these, there are some other items that will require a buyer to have additional money up front. At closing, if you're getting a loan and not paying cash, you'll need money to put into your escrow account for property taxes and homeowner's insurance. The total amount needed, including the escrow account, is usually known as cash to close. Typically, these charges will range from 3 to 3.5% of the sales price of the home. If you are buying a more expensive house, this percentage will be a little bit lower. The buyer is responsible for all closing costs, but you can ask the seller to help you pay for some or most and even all of these costs when making an offer on your home. How long does it take to sell a home? This can vary drastically, and it also depends on what you mean. For a seller, if you are asking how long does it take from the very beginning to list the home, show the home, get an offer on the home that is acceptable, and to close, well, that kind of depends on the market, price point, and other factors. Typically for me, once we meet together for a listing appointment and you sign a contract with me, it usually takes about a week or two to get your home ready to sell. During that time, I also get photos taken, virtual tours set up, and videos done. For a hot seller's market like right now, we can list a home on Thursday, and by Monday we can have it under contract and have multiple offers on it. In a more normal market, 10 to 20 days to get an acceptable offer is typical. After that, we're looking at about 30 days to close, but again, this can vary. So from start to finish, it's going to take about 2 to 3 months to get your home sold. How long does it take to buy a home? For a buyer, the first step is getting pre-qualified with a lender, and I recommend strongly that all buyers go ahead and go through the underwriting process up front to get pre-approved. Then you have the process of looking at homes and finding the one that you like. This can vary dramatically depending on the buyer, their criteria, and price point. On average though, I'm usually looking with buyers at homes between 2 to 4 weeks before they make the first offer on a home, and hopefully that first one's accepted. But I have had much shorter periods, and I've had much longer periods as well. Once you make an offer on a house and it gets accepted, on average it takes about 30 days to close on the home. What is due diligence? In Georgia, we have something called the due diligence period as part of our contracts. Typically, this is between 7 to 14 days, depending on what you negotiate. During this time period, the buyer gets the inspection done, and you can negotiate based on the inspection and what repairs will need to be done. So you'll ask for repairs, you may ask for a price reduction, and/or you might ask for additional seller paid closing costs. But no matter what the inspection, or if the seller is willing to do everything you're asking for or not, a buyer can break contract during the due diligence period at any point during that time for any reason and get their earnest money back. Overall, the due diligence period is for a buyer to make absolutely sure that this is the house they want to buy. Another question I get is, what is earnest money? This is also known as good faith money. This is money that is placed in an escrow account as a deposit to buy a home. If a buyer breaks contract during the due diligence period or as part of a contingency that's in the contract, then the buyer gets their money back. If you go all the way to closing, then this money is just applied to your cash to close. If a buyer breaks contract though for any reason not stipulated in the contract, this is a breach of contract. The seller then gets this money. Now, I get this one a lot when I'm working with buyers to buy a home. This home's been on the market for a while. What's wrong with it? The answer to this one will vary from property to property. Sometimes on the market indicates that a home is too high of a sales price, or a house just needs a lot of repairs. But sometimes it could mean that the house was on the market, it went under contract, and then later the deal fell through and now it's back on the market. It looks like the house has been on the market for a long time, when in actuality, it was just under contract for a while. This is where your real estate agent can do some investigating to give you a deeper insight to the situation at hand. How long have I been in real estate? Well, I have now been working in real estate for more than 8 years. What stays with a house and what doesn't? There is something called a seller's disclosure that a majority of sellers give to buyers, but it's not required in the state of Georgia. On the disclosure, it has a section that states what stays with the house and what doesn't. Everything that is built into the house will stay unless otherwise stated. The most commonly asked about items are the refrigerator, the washer and dryer, blinds, and window treatments. This is where the seller's disclosure helps with answering those questions. This is a less frequently asked question, but it's one I want to cover, and it's, what condition will a house be in once I close on it? For resale, unless stated in the disclosure or agreed upon in the contract, everything that belongs to the former owner should be moved out by the time of closing or whatever time the buyer takes over the house. But normal wear and tear is expected. If you see lots of pictures or other items hanging on the walls when you are walking around the house, expect nails or small holes in the wall where the nails once were to be present once you move in. If you're buying a home that has older hardwood floors or carpet, expect to see outlines where the furniture set, and there could be some staining or sunlight bleaching, like making outlines around that furniture. Same thing happens with rugs as well. Do not expect it to be clean before you move in. Cabinets can be sticky, dirty, and dusty. Now, to solve some of these issues, you can put in your contract that the seller cleans the house before moving out or patches up nail holes and paints the walls. But you will need to be specific on exactly what you're expecting and do not assume. Only if it's in writing is it enforceable in real estate. How accurate are Zestimates and other price estimates on real estate websites? The short answer is not really accurate. The numbers you see for these estimates are based on algorithms that they put in place to get your estimate. But without going into a home to see it in person, it is impossible for these algorithms to give an accurate value of a house. Do they hit it right sometimes? Sure, but most of the times no. The reason why is the algorithm doesn't account for a steep driveway, usable backyards, atypical improvements, custom improvements, and the like. But I will say that this can be a good starting point. Well, my hope is that I answered some of the questions that you may have when it comes to buying or selling a home. If you have a question that I didn't cover today, then drop it in the comment section below or send me an email or a text. I would be more than happy to answer it the best I can. If you found this video helpful, then hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I post videos just like this one about all things real estate, as well as living, working, playing, and breathing all things Atlanta and the metro Atlanta area. I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and I will see you next time.